Hello and welcome to Make AMI Talent Sourcing Work for You, sponsored by our good friends here at Redback Conferencing. My name's Sarah Anderson and I'm in charge of the AMI's communications and content. Before we get started, I'd like to go through some housekeeping rules to make this event as seamless and interactive as possible. Firstly, if you wish to ask the presenter a question during the webinar, please use the text chat facility which is located in the bottom left corner of your screen. You can also use this feature to post comments and technical questions or just to chat and share information between each other. Also, if you experience any difficulty in hearing sound throughout today's event, please feel free to listen via the telephone by dialing the number on your screen and then entering the passcode provided. We'll also have a few poll questions. These will pop up on your screen, and if you could put in an answer as quickly as possible, that would be great. Please note the webinar will be recorded and we'll send you the details and slides in the next few days. I'd like to now introduce our CEO Lee Tonitto to get this webinar started. Lee will take you through what AMI Talent Sourcing is, what a BAF is, and how to get started. We'll be joined a little later by David Maloney, CEO of Industrialised Adhocracy, to answer any questions. Welcome, Lee.
Thanks very much, Sarah, and hello to everyone today. Thank you very much for joining us on the AMI Talent Sourcing webinar. To say the least, AMI Talent Sourcing is a truly innovative new career service for AMI members, and we're delighted to provide this educational webinar. And what I'd like to do today is explain why we launched AMI Talent Sourcing, what it is, how does it benefit both our corporate and also individual members, and I'm sure that throughout you'll think about the question, how is it different to other recruitment models, and then how do you actually register to participate in AMI Talent Sourcing. And now to check in with what you'd like to listen to throughout this webinar, I'd like to hand back to Sarah, who's going to run our polls for us. So Sarah, over to you.
Thank you. So the first of our three polls today is we'd like to see how many of you are looking for marketing staff in the next 3 months. So this should appear on your screen now. Wait. I think that's almost everyone now. Great. So we can see that it's pretty much 50-50. Lee, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's certainly interesting to see the mixed response here, and it's great also to see our members looking for quality talent, and it's also great to have our consultant members listening in as well. So as I said, this is an educational session, so the session will be great for everyone, whether you're looking for a role now or looking for something for 2015.
Okay, so next question is, we'd like to know how many people are facing budget pressures on staff recruiting, whether you're a consultant and you bring on extra talent, or you're in a corporate role.
Wow.
All right, so that's pretty much everyone. Lucky you who's not. Lee, do you have any comments?
Yeah, so Sarah, I'm really not surprised, and maybe this is part of the reason that we've had people attending today's session. Our member research has certainly suggested that corporate members are facing increased budget pressure on new hires, and everyone is looking for cost-efficient recruiting solutions. So we can now move on to the next question. Thank you, everyone.
Right. So our last question to start this off is, how many of you are looking for a marketing role any sort in the next 3 months or so? All right. That's looking fairly clear, either yes or not sure. So no one's not looking. Lee, any comments here?
Thanks. This educational webinar is certainly for you. Everybody that's looking for a role in the next 3 months and even into 2015. And AMI Talent Sourcing, I'm sure, can give you a great success in terms of leads to gain additional work.
Thanks so much, everyone, for answering the questions. We'll go back to the presentation and I'll hand over to Lee.
Thanks, Sarah. So I thought we'd kick off by saying, why did the AMI introduce AMI Talent Sourcing? Well, it's pretty clear that modern careers are in a state of change and employment for life is pretty much over, and the idea of receiving a gold watch after 30 years of service is really no longer the norm. AMI member research has shown that marketing careers particularly have periods of transition, and they work through key phases with very different characteristics. And I'd like to, an example of that is when you're becoming a new parent. Particularly females often look for contracting and consulting roles to help balance their work-life needs as they have young children. And also we see that in the latter part of our members' careers, they also tend to enjoy consulting and contracting. And we asked our members if they wanted career support from their professional association, and the answer was a really resounding yes. AMI members did want support to help them find jobs, find roles, and also to help them advance their careers. At the AMI, as I'm sure that you're aware, our role is to fuel progress in your career and help you advance. And I'd like to suggest to you that the AMI may well be the only constant relationship you have throughout your professional career, because given the current trends, it's unlikely to be an employer. And we really see our role is to assist members with flexible and also agile project-based employment solutions. So I'm sure once again that you'll learn a lot as we move through this webinar today. So how does the core idea behind AMI talent sourcing is the notion of adhocracy. And it's a notion that was created by a very famous organisational designer, Henry Mintzberg. And what Henry believed was that if you assemble a really smart, qualified group of talent together across a range of disciplines into temporary project teams, fast-forming project teams, that is really the best way to solve business problems. And so this collective or collaborative team-based approach called adhocracy really ensures that businesses have the best talent to solve their problems. And given the increased level of specialisation in marketing, we think that this model is absolutely perfect to help both our corporate members source the best marketing talent, and it's also perfect for individual members to work on projects that best match their skills. At the AMI, we've taken a licence from Industrialised Adhocracy, and so we use their platform as denoted by the Powered by IA logo on the AMI talent sourcing materials. Industrialised Adhocracy is a new, powerful, globally available technology platform that's been made available to professional associations powered by IA, and I know that the accountants are enjoying using this platform in terms of the ICAA, as well as the Australian Computers Society. It's based on a really revolutionary business model patent and helps both employers get the A team to work on their tasks, and also will help our members find leads for roles and suitable assignments. The industrialised piece comes in because the process I'm just about to take you through is really scalable and reliable. So how does all this work? Well, AMI Talent Sourcing uses, as I said, the Industrialised Adhocracy platform, and it uses a process called a BAF, and that acronym stands for Best Affiliate Forward. So what I'd like to do is just step you through the process. Step one is that an employer works with AMI Talent Sourcing to complete a role specification. And the BAF is sent then via email to all members. And members who are interested in applying for the role complete a CV, and we call that a credentials document, specifying how their skills and capabilities are really suited to the role specification. Then the AMI talent sourcing team takes a look at all of the CVs we receive for the role, chooses the best 3 CVs, and then submits those CVs to the employer for an interview. And all of this process happens really rapidly. It happens all within 48 hours. The employer will choose the best marketing professional from the 3 CVs, usually via an interview. Then the employer will complete an engagement contract with the AMI member, and congratulations, the AMI member starts the assignment. In terms of benefits, so how does this service benefit you? And what will you get out of it? Well, on the left-hand side of the slide, we talk about what corporate members and also boutique members with their own marketing practice seeking marketing resources can gain. And I think the most important benefit for those members is that they have a quality source of specialist professional marketers, all backed by the AMI Certified Practicing Marketer designation. So they've got a great talent pool to draw from. Talent sourcing also for those members is a very transparent and truly unbiased search process, so you can find the best candidate to get the job done. For individual members, well, it's all about getting quality leads for roles that match your skills. It also gives members the opportunity to refer AMI members. If you're not able to do the role yourself, you may know somebody who can. And if you have a lack of capacity or the skills, there's very generous commission structure of 20% available if you know someone who can do the role. So you can participate still in the process. And a key member benefit of opting in to receiving the BAFs as an individual member is what a fantastic way to find out the kinds of marketing skills that are in demand. And so this can influence your professional development agenda. Now, I'm sure as you've been listening to me, the question passes through your mind, so how is this different from current recruiting platforms? Well, it's actually different in 3 ways. When you take a look at Recruiters, Seek, and also LinkedIn, the BAF process is truly highly targeted to gain access to a marketing professional immediately, available from the AMI membership and backed by that very powerful Certified Practicing Marketer designation. The service only is available for specialist marketing professionals, so it's a very focused service. There's an active curation process, and corporate members are very rapidly provided a short list of the best marketing professionals for their needs in 48 hours. Other distinctive benefits include, this is a great way, whether you've got a task that's needed to be filled for 1 day to 1 year. So whatever the need is in terms of task duration, this is the process for you. It's free to test. There is no cost of actually running a BAF. The marketing professional earns the high rate of 70% for the BAF. There's a 10% processing charge, and then the 20% origination charge is payable only upon successful appointment of the AMI member. Now, I've covered a lot of ground here and in this first part of the presentation, so I just wondered, are there any questions that you may have for me?
You can see someone's typing, so we'll just give you a second to respond to things. All right, so Lee, our first question is, who does the contract and agreement sit with? I would actually say that the way that this works is the agreement is with the employer. There will be an employment contract with the employer, and then there's a member agreement which goes with the partner IA. There's a copy of that on our website, and I would encourage everyone to read. We do talk about that a little bit more a bit later on in the presentation. Lee, our next question is, could you please talk a little bit more about the fee structure?
Yes.
Casey, could you just type a little bit more information. Would you like to know as someone who's looking for a contract or someone who is looking to hire? Alana has asked, will every submission be followed up by AMI to be notified if they have or haven't been selected? Yes, we do let you know. And Katie is looking to know more about the fee structure in terms of a corporate recruitment process.
Great. So thanks very much, Katie, and Sarah, for your question. Out of 100%, the affiliate or the professional marketing AMI member that actually completes the assignment receives 70% of the BAF rate. There is 20% would be to the selling affiliate of the AMI members, and the 10% is a processing fee that is remitted to the IA hub, the Industrialised Adhocracy hub. Our fees and parameters, just think it's a great question, Katie, that you've asked. Sarah, is this detail available, I think, through our website? Because the AMI website has a very comprehensive of the various fees and parameters of the project origination fees. And so what it would like to do, Katie, is we'll take your details and send you the link to that information, because there are many permutations of the 70, 20, 10 for both the members to understand our fees and the parameters around those fees, and also for corporates to understand.
We've got a question about the BAF rate on the position description. That BAF rate is a growth position, so that will have the 20 and 30% taken out of it.
Yes. So just expanding on that, if the day rate is $1,000, the AMI member receives $700. There's a 10% processing fee, and then 20% is to the AMI member who has sold in the work for the corporate.
Our next question is, could you outline the method used to develop the role specification in his experience? Role specifications are important in ensuring the success of the process, and we completely agree with that.
Yes, Colin, that's a great question as well. A little further on in the presentation, I go into some depth with regards to role specifications, and again on the AMI website is a document outlining that. But at AMI Talent Sourcing, our business development team certainly assists all of our members with regards to role specifications, and the AMI Talent Sourcing Administration team assists the members as they apply through the credentials document for the roles. So whether you're putting together a role specification or whether you're completing a credentials document, AMI Talent Sourcing team is there to support everybody.
Okay, great. That's our last question for now. Keep them coming. You're welcome to ask them throughout the presentation, and we'll try and take them where they're most relevant. So let's keep on moving now. The next part of the webinar is how to apply for a BAF.
We lightly touched on this a little bit before, but I'd like to go a lot deeper into what is a BAF. As I said, a BAF is actually an acronym for Best Affiliate Forward, and it's part of the process behind AMI Talent Sourcing, and it really facilitates the rapid selection of the right talent to fulfill temporary roles. And the BAF is a form of role specification. It's anonymised, and it sets out the role task and the skill requirements, the task duration, and also the rate of pay, and invites applications from qualified AMI members. And what does an AMI qualified member look like? It's an AMI member who is financial, who is also opted in and registered to be part of AMI Talent Sourcing. and they're the people that can apply for a BAF. You apply for a BAF, which is like a role specification, with your credentials document, and again, it needs to be anonymised. And a BAF is really a competitive process, much like a mini job interview, and the employer is looking for those AMI members with the best matched skills and experience for the role. And the one great thing about the whole BAF process is that, once again, I'd remind you, you're able to refer people if you think they fit the bill, and we really encourage you to do this. Going a little deeper into a BAF, what are the elements? This goes back, I think, to Colin's question on the elements of that role spec being so important. Part one is the client, and this is a description or profile of the employer commissioning the BAF, and to ensure confidentiality, we anonymise all of the employer names. The next element is a role, and this gives the context and also the objectives of the engagement. What are the relevant KPIs, the critical success factors, and of course the skills and experience required of the member. Next element is location. Where's the job located at? And we need to make sure that there's sufficient detail to allow members to evaluate can they have the capacity to undertake that role. And that's similar to the next element, timing. What are the start dates? What's the expected duration of the assignment, to make sure that members are fully informed to evaluate their capacity to meet those time requirements. Process, instructions for members how to lodge their credentials, and as I said, there is a superb AMI talent sourcing team available to help members with preparation of their credentials documents. And finally, the rate. Indicative assignment rates or rate bands are given, and this is really about the level of experience required for the assignment, and that's set in consultation, of course, with the employer. Bringing all of that together, here is an example of a BAF, and as you can see, we give quite a bit of information about the employer, the role, to ensure that you're able to see if you are the fit for purpose AMI member based on your background and skills for this particular role. Now, many of you have been asking for the step-by-step process involved in AMI talent sourcing, so I just thought I'd quickly outline the steps involved in generating and processing a BAF, and this is particularly useful for both our corporate members and also our individual members. So once you've registered with AMI Talent Sourcing as an individual member, you'll start receiving BAFs via email, and initially you'll receive all of the BAFs that are issued. Later, you may choose to filter your BAF notifications based on criteria that you specify. And I'd really encourage that whilst you're reading the BAF to think about it and assess if you have the suitable skills and capabilities to fulfill the role. And that's about checking those elements I just advised on the role specification. You know, what's your availability, your experience, your skills, the time, the rate, the location of the role? Does all of that suit you? And that's very important. Looking at step 4, crafting your personal credentials document, you would use the credentials template. And what I'd suggest as a tip for people new to this process is to have a draft credentials document at the ready, because you never know when an employer will generate a BAF, and so it's quite useful to have a draft credentials document ready that you can tailor ultimately to that individual BAF details. Pop on a cover email, attach your credentials, and then send it through as part of the BAF instructions. Step 5, we receive all of the credentials, and the AMI Talent Sourcing team select the top 3 candidates. We notify those members via email, and at that stage we actually ask and we gain consent from you so that we can release the credentials to the employer. A short list of AMI members are then contacted by the employer to have an interview. AMI member is chosen for the role, and then the AMI member receives a congratulatory email, signs the engagement contract and starts work. So pretty straightforward, really. In terms of some practical tips in the application and curation process, we'd like to field questions about the role from interested members. So please call in and we're very happy to answer any of your questions as soon as possible because there is a 48-hour turnaround time here. Talent sourcing admin does help you through the process to ensure that you follow all of the formatting requirements and that your credentials are anonymised. After the BAF deadline, the applicant list is looked at by the team, by the AMI talent sourcing team, and relevant marketing curation experts to select the best 3 candidates. Once the selection is made, we do seek your consent to disclose your identity to the employer. We gain your permission. The top 3 candidates are forwarded to the employer, and then the employer will move forward with an interview with you. And we also send out an email for the unsuccessful applicants advising the outcome of the BAF process. Now, once again, I've covered a lot of ground in detailed process here, and we'd like to open up for questions that you may have.
We've had one come through asking whether the advertised roles are temporary or project, or if we do have some permanent roles as well.
Thanks, Alana, for your question. The roles advertised are both, so temporary and project-based. However, given our great pool of professional marketing talent, there is the opportunity for permanent roles if a corporate member is looking for that. Often what we've found so far in the BAFs that we've had is that employers are keen to try candidates on or AMI members on a project basis, and then that often can move to a permanent assignment. So we're seeing both there, but if there is demand, the AMI talent sourcing system can certainly meet both temporary, project-based and also permanent. Thank you for your question.
All right, there are a few more people typing, so I'll just give it a couple of seconds. Great. So the next question is how, or is this process being communicated with corporate HR, or how, if that's the case?
Yes, so in the work the business development team at AMI Talent Sourcing has done so far is that we've had many conversations with corporate HR to make them aware of this process. And so they certainly enjoy both the transparency of the process and also the unbiased search capability.
Following on from that, we've got a question, how do we advertise the service to potential employers?
We have a multi-pronged marketing communications approach, as you'd expect from the Australian Marketing Institute. We have a very active business development team that speaks individually to employers. We have been having advertising in B&T, and also we have been doing a lot of promotion through our membership about the AMI Talent Sourcing service.
The next question is, what responsibility does the AMI take to validate the candidate's CV?
Yes, the responsibility in terms of validation of the CV is in the member agreement in terms of the integrity of the member and also the employer to ensure that the CV is not invalidated, but validated, I'm sorry, in terms of the engagement agreement. So in both of the member agreement, of which everybody is bound by, there's terms and conditions in there, as well as the engagement agreement with the actual employer. So good question, Colin. Thank you.
It's also covered in our member code of conduct, I would say as well.
Thank you, Sarah.
There's one more person typing. All right. Okay, I think we will move on then. So the next part of the webinar is how to register for AMI talent sourcing.
Thanks, Sarah. Just a reminder, once again, to apply for a BAF, you actually must be a financial member of the AMI, and we're really encouraging everyone to opt in and register by providing us your name, email, and also your member number. And another point that I'd like to make is that your personal details will be accessed both by the AMI and the IA Industrialised Adhocracy platform team. And we'd like to ensure that you're comfortable with the privacy policies, both of the Australian Marketing Institute and Industrialised Adhocracy. Both of them, the links are available through the AMI website and the AMI talent sourcing section on our website. Going back to some of the questions we've actually just had, at all times, participation in the AMI talent sourcing service is subject to the member agreement, and you can, of course, deregister at any time by request. Once registered, just a reminder, you'll receive the BAFs via email. To respond to the BAF, please complete your personal credentials document. And at all times, another thing I'd like to point out is that you are in control of the personal credentials document, and it's quite similar to a CV. We have prepared a guide to help you complete your credentials document, and of course, AMI Talent Sourcing Administration is there to help you along the way. Please use your member number as your unique identification when preparing your credentials document. We've spoken about the member agreement and that really this balances the governance of the AMI talent sourcing process, particularly relating to intellectual property assignment, confidentiality and payment terms. Another key document, if you're successful in being selected for a role, you'll be required to enter into an engagement agreement which really articulates the obligations to the employer for this assignment. Moving now to preparing your credentials, as I said, you use the credentials document to respond to a BAF, and you alone control the credentials document, and this really enables you to tailor your application to suit each role specification and put your best foot forward. It's anonymised, so your identity is disguised, and this is fantastic because what it does is actually eliminate the possibility of bias in the curation process. The format is designed to work with the BAF process, and it really does capture and present in a very professional way your skills and experience. And I really encourage you to include your professional designations as well as your skills in this document. AMI Talent Sourcing Help Desk is here to review and edit your credentials, and as I said earlier, it's really great if you have a credentials document prepared, ready to go, so that if you see a BAF come through that is suitable for your skills and experience, that you can tailor it and modify it so you can be ready and submit to meet the 48-hour quick turnaround to meet employers' needs. All of the documents that I've discussed and processes today are on the AMI Talent Sourcing Library contained within the AMI website. And what I'd like to do now is, first of all, thank you very much for your great questions and listening today, and hand back to Sarah for the final questions on today's session.
Thanks, Lee. I'd like to welcome David Maloney, the CEO of Industrialised Adhocracy, who's joining us now for questions. We've had a couple that have come in ahead of time, and we'll try to get through them all. If we don't, we'll send a Q&A round, but I think we've got enough time to take on a few. If you think of anything later, feel free to send us an email or give us a call. The email address is on the screen, We'll also have a short survey popping up on the right side of your screen, so we'd really appreciate it if you could take a moment to provide us with some feedback. So I'll start off with a question that we've just had coming in. I'm going to put this to David. David, why are details kept confidential? Assuming in this industry it would be pretty easy to work out who's who.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the question, Sarah. We keep the details as confidential as possible to improve the independence of the curation process. We have developed a patented multi-step curation process which tries to ensure transparency where transparency is helpful in promoting fairness, but we also use anonymized credentials to the extent we're able to ensure that the curation process is as independent as possible, not only of the professional association, but also of the various networks that may get created over time, so that we can put the very best independently curated shortlisted selection in front of the client for any given particular role.
Thank you. One of the questions that we had coming in earlier is how many corporates have used the service and what type of industries have they been from? I'll put that to you, Lee.
Well, that's a great question, and the number of individual clients now would be in excess of 50 around the globe. And we've had clients in New York, in London, in Paris, as well, of course, as every state in Australia and in New Zealand use the service. The service and platform was first used by the Professional Association of Management Consultants, known as ICG, and therefore they've seen a lot more traction, and they're up to, I think, somewhere around their 180th BAF now. And so incredible learning and experience which is being shared with other professional associations who are also adopting the platform. And of course, as many of these associations, like the AMI, are many times bigger than the Consulting Association, we expect that learning to be flowing backwards to other new participants and to professional associations that benefit from the actual professional discipline of the association. As Lee suggested, the AMI has done some fantastic marketing work with this platform, and I think some of the other associations are already benefiting from that.
Okay.
And just answering that question specifically, we've had BAFs in the agrochemical industry, real estate, property management, and also investment banking. And so we're off and running and actively seeking more corporates to help with this service and, of course, generate roles for our members.
And I would flag that this is still the early days of what is a very disruptive and innovative approach to building adhocracies or creating agility for clients. And one of the previous questions was, how are we communicating with corporate HR? Well, our experience is that it takes quite some time to educate the any corporate function in something which is new and disruptive as this. And we started that process over the last several months, and the feedback has been astonishingly positive. But turning astonishingly positive feedback into real market traction and opportunities that are sourced via the platform is going to continue to take some time. And we're very much in the early days of this development, in just the same way that we see diffusion curves working through, for example, electric cars. It certainly takes some years before they're accepted as a new dominant technology, and then many more years before, as a dominant technology, they displace the incumbent and outdated technologies.
Great, thanks, David. All right, a question from Jeremy. Is there a cost to running a BAF? Oh no, sorry, not the. Sorry.
The answer to that is zero, of course. There's no cost to running a BAF.
Not running a BAF. Oh, we said that before. Yes. Michelle's asked, I want to hire several specialists. Do I require a separate BAF for each role?
In general, the answer is yes. Yes, we encourage people to be as specific as possible in their requirements. If the requirements are for an identical individual, but in different geographies, then of course we can reuse the same back template and just indicate that the opportunity occurs in multiple geographies or multiple occurrences. But that, in our experience, is rare because the world is becoming, as Professor Tom Malone has suggested, more hyper-specialised. So in general, people are looking for more specialist skills rather than more generalist skills, and therefore it does help to have individual BAFs.
A question from Rachel for you, David. What issues did you observe in the market that meant there was a need for the industrialised adhocracy model to be developed?
The biggest issue in our view is the diminution of the role of professional associations in society created by the granularisation of the workforce. Employment tenures are dropping dramatically to the point where most CEOs are only in their job for 5 years. So the idea of any type of lifetime employment is at least a generation old now. And so as we look to a world where work gets done through ad hoc teams, how do we create an industrialised approach to building those ad hoc teams, or the adhocracies as they're referred to, in a way which is scalable and robust and reliable, but is also in a way beneficial to society and the source of demand in the first place. What we observe is that a number of platform-based models like LinkedIn and virtual job board services are springing up around the world. And the challenge with those models, we find, is that they create an intermediated marketplace that doesn't actually add value back to the marketplace. And so by developing the Industrialised Adhocracy platform, or powered by IA as it's referred to, and licensing that to professional associations, we can create a world where the role of the professional association in shaping the supply curve to meet a cleaner, purer demand signal is strengthened. And that, we think, will be ultimately very important to national competitiveness as the world migrates much more to services and knowledge-based economic activity.
Lee, a question for you. I've got a question from Jackie. Are there any restrictions on the companies that are eligible to lodge BAFs?
No, there are no restrictions. They need to, of course, ensure that they're familiar with our process and also ensure that they complete the various agreements and have the capacity to meet the obligations to our AMI member.
Okay, are there any further questions from the webinar participants? Looks like we've got through everything. Okay, great. Well, that brings us to the end of today's webinar. I'd like to thank you all for participating, and of course our sponsors, Redback Conferencing. Please keep an eye out for the recording, which will be sent within 48 hours. And if you've got any further questions, like I said before, please feel free to contact us directly, either by the email on the screen or by giving us a call. And have a great Tuesday. Thank you very much for joining us, Lee and David.
Thank you.
Thank you.